Well, when you look back at when you first started in the role as coach in chief with USA Hockey, how has that role changed in terms of your? I don't know if it's necessarily a day to day, week to week, month to month, but how has your focus shifted from when you started to where you are today?
Well, when I first got involved, I was real hands-on. So I was in a van with the Dick Emeisers of the world and other people doing clinics that weren't even mandatory at the time back in the early '80s.
No
So
kidding.
that was fortunate. So I've got to watch and be a part of the whole transition to where we are today, which is amazing. We've always been a gold standard in coach education worldwide, but I think we're taking it to a different level now. But the nice part about the national coach in chief position, one, we have a great team of CICs around the country. So it's
What's
like
a
a
CIC?
coach in chief. So
Coach and Chiefs.
each district in our country, and then
Yeah.
add Alaska, and now you add our female position. So that's 14 around the table. Basically, they run their own districts with support and direction, and helping always reshape the mission and vision of the program between volunteer and staff. So it's been a really fun experience. And I think our coaches in our country have gotten better. And I think I'd like to say, I'm very prideful in the fact that we've gotten better as a country playing hockey. And you can't do player development if you don't have good coaches. So for me,
Amen.
they go hand in hand.
Yeah. Well, first off, I feel like I'm going to get ripped on social media for asking what a CIC is in this
That's okay.
conversation.
It's fine. Yeah,
I'm going to hear
yeah,
about that.
yeah.
But I was thinking about this, that when you look at, USA hockey and listen, every federation is trying to grow the game, but I would anticipate that if we look back in the last 10 years, no place in the world has added more hockey players to its membership. And I think what's really unique about the US is you've been doing it in areas where, gosh, 20 years ago, people would have assumed that, you can't, you're not going to grow hockey in Florida. You're not going to grow hockey in Texas. You're not in these non-traditional markets. So when you have looked at how to do that, like is coach education in Minnesota the same as it is in Florida or Georgia, or do you augment maybe how to you're educating coaches who probably in many cases don't have a lot of experience playing the game?
Well, there was a lot in that question.
Yeah,
So for me, it's been easy because growing up in Minnesota, being a part of that, we have 12 districts, much like USA Hockey has 12 districts. And, Minnesota is about growth and USA Hockey is about growth. So there's some parallels there because, our leaders are our mentors, the Herb Brookses of the world and John Mariucci's, they believed in that growing the game within their own state. So I think the USA Hockey's mission is very similar to that. And it's easy for me to follow that. Now let's switch to coach education. Coach education, we have 12 districts in our country, and we have the 13th add-on with Alaska, of course. But our coaching education program used to be a little bit more splintered way back when. But the one thing at the center of the coach education program in every country, even though it was a little bit different and kind of more regionally operated, it really was one curriculum, one path. So that has never changed. I mean, we've always believed in that. So the 12 or 13 CICs back then, they delivered the curriculum that we had, but there was more of a local flavor to it, I would say,
sure.
because it was very grassroots at the time. And as we've gotten better, more professional, I think the curriculum that individuals are getting, and they have for the last 10 years, is more refined, defined, and then delivered basically the same across the country. And we've been able to do that because we've trained all of our educators. We have 200 plus volunteers that actually deliver the curriculum for those 12 coaching chiefs. So they have to have a roadmap. They have to have a guide to do that. And we keep getting better and better and better at that. So it allows us to be consistent from the East Coast to the West Coast, from the Mexican border to the Canadian border, and that's helped tremendously, I think, in pulling together the development piece for our players because you have to develop the coaches first. If that makes sense.
No, for sure. So when you get to the end of the season, like now, and I don't know if it's now or perhaps it's later in the summer, but at what point do you get everybody's input and say, okay, like what's going right
Yep.
with with the
Yep.
delivery of this content? What can be improved? How frequently, or what is the cadence for perhaps adjusting
Well,
the content you're pushing out and sharing?
um, I'm just going to go back in the last couple of years
Yeah.
because we'll keep
Yeah.
it, we'll keep it COVID-ish and then beyond because there was that,
Sure.
that there was that window
Yeah.
that we can't
Yeah. I
remember.
remember that. I
Yeah, I
remember that.
remember
Yeah.
there's that like, yeah, it's like this is Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
We have a curriculum committee that works on the curriculum, which is made up of staff from USA Hockey and the volunteers. So it's basically 50-50. We've had that in place for quite some time. That's helped with the transition. Our coach and chiefs meet on a monthly basis, if not more,
No way.
via Zoom. We have 3 personal meetings with them and probably another 2 with the subcommittees. The continuing education one, which you're aware of, and then also the curriculum one. So we have a lot of communication, and our heavy lift though is now. So we finished the clinic season. It really runs from September to January in the U.S. And then from January on, now it's planning for the next year. In addition, so I'm just going to take you through the cadence, right?
Yeah.
So January meeting after it's complete. So all this coach and chiefs are there. We do a debrief, have meetings, start the planning process in the reset for the next year. Then what happens is we leave there, and then the meetings continue on a monthly basis with the coach and chiefs. We also do what we call a coach developer training. We're doing 3 of those around the country where we bring in our instructors and then we train them up. And this will be the second year that we've done that under this format. We used to do it about every other year. Now we're doing it. We're trying to make that a point of emphasis all the time. We have a CIC meeting in May during the Level 5 National Coaches Symposium in Mass. So we'll do that. We'll bring everybody in. Again, another planning session. The committee then will report. We'll have the Coach Developer Academies done. We'll vet all that between the volunteer staff and the professional staff that are involved from USA Hockey, and then we'll take it one step further. We'll have another meeting in June, and then
Wow.
the CICs this year will they'll have an August meeting. Well, they'll bring their staffs in after they've been trained, after we've had all of our planning, and then they'll prep, and then they'll go into the clinic season. So I think we have a pretty good cadence. I like the word you used. And then when the season's going on, we try to meet on a monthly basis just for an hour, just to touch base, support each other as a team, and then make sure things are going okay. So I don't think the planning ever stops. It's kind of like continuous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Which is, you know what, which is interesting though to me, because I sense that, not just in hockey, not just in sports, that in a lot of industries where there's a continuing education process, it's so easy for that content to get stale. Like, it's so easy to say, okay, well, we've got our level 1 course, and if it's not broke, why fix it? But I sense that USA Hockey has been very progressive in saying, like, it's evolved. And I mean, I'm talking as a non-American, through my seat. I can see how it's evolved, like starting with, the ADM website. Like, this, I don't know who came up with the idea. Say, like, why don't we be totally transparent with our membership, parents, players, coaches, whomever, that this is the path we're going on, and bring everybody in. Like, I don't think everybody does that.
I don't think they do either. And I think, we're fortunate. I think some people take a lot of what we do for granted. But, you talk about the evolution of this. I mean, it really has been an evolution. I mean, between staff and volunteers and everybody, but also the path of getting better our products has to get better. So when I took over, one of the things I thought was really important is that we continue to evolve. So every 2 years, we were on the path to update and check our curriculum to make sure that we're going the
No
right
way.
direction. Yeah. So that was always my goal, to do that, because I thought we could get stagnant at times for years, right? If you miss dates, pretty soon it's the next year, and we had to get away from that. So we had made a lot of strides in that, as an ongoing goal and mission of the CICs, not just me. I mean, we're a team, so I just get to sit there in the position I have now. But that was important to us as educators, that we wanted to make sure that we continue to educate on an ongoing basis, and then change on an ongoing basis because the customer changes.
Hey, coaches, we hear a lot these days about sport culture. And while we can all agree that things need to shift, sometimes it can feel unclear as to how to create the change needed within your own team or program. Achieving a healthy team culture doesn't have to be complicated. The solution: Hone Athletics. Hone has developed a digital platform that helps you support the other side of your athletes. I'm talking about the mental and emotional side. You receive simple, real time data, on the stressors that are known to impact athlete well-being and performance, as well as expert advice on how to address what you are seeing in your team trends. When you combine insight and action on the state of their collective well-being, you automatically create the kind of supportive environment that allows players to trust, communicate, and most importantly, grow. Hone Athletics is offering a limited time membership discount to listeners of the Glassnote podcast. That means you're going to get 50% off. That's right, 50% off your first season with the platform. Visit honeathletics.com and request a call to discuss how they can help your team achieve new levels of performance and to deliver a quality athlete experience. That's HONE athletics.com. Let them know the Coach's Site sent you.